Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk. I'm Heidi Smith. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based in the United Kingdom. And here's another quick project using the lovely Sparkling Snowflakes stamp set from the new catalogue. And this one can be bought in a bundle with this great tag topper punch. As you can see there in my light, but yeah, so it creates tag toppers, but I wanted to show you how you can use that to create lovely layers on your cards. And I'm using some of our kind of colour friends that we've got here. So this time I've gone for Pool Party and Lost Lagoon and Pretty Peacock, and you've just got a pretty layered card that you can see there. So it stands up really nicely. We've got a few iridescent gems on there, and then we've just used combinations of the colours. And the lovely thing with this stamp set is that these layer almost to kind of give almost a sort of 3D kind of effect, I think, on those. And to say that you can use this as a tag topper, but you know, it just creates a really pretty edge on there as well. So I've gone for non-traditional, so I'm going to go really non-traditional now, and I'm going to go for some other colour friends. So colour friends, these are colours that are in different, often in different colour families, but that work really well together. So I've got my Petal Pink, some Calypso Coral, so both of those are in the subtles, and then I've paired it with Sweet Sorbet, so which is that kind of reddish pink in colours. So that's what we're going to be using. We're going to be, I'll leave that card there for reference so that we can work as we go along. So start off with a standard card base for whatever country you're in. So mine is 14.85 by 10.5, so half a sheet of A4. If you're in the States, it'll be 4 1/4 wide by your 11 inches. So yours is going to come slightly shorter, which means that these will sort of, the gap between these two will be slightly narrower. So it should still work fine, but you've just got that little bit, quite a bit shorter on the length of card. So that's what you're going to need. You're going to need a layer of basic white to go on the inside, just 1/4 inch or 1/2 centimetre shorter, so 14.3 by 10 for me. You're going to want a piece that is 6 centimetres by the length of your card as well. I will put the inch conversions, so that's 6 centimetres is about 2 3/8 in width as well. And then you could just cut the scraps, a scrap of Calypso Coral, which is 5 centimetres by 10 centimetres, and another scrap which is 4.7 by 4.2 for the middle. Okay. So this one is we're going to punch. So the punching is really easy. We're just going to slide that piece in there. So it's 5 centimetres wide, and you just slide it in all the way. If you were to turn over, you can see it's in all the way. So just make sure it's really butted up well, and then press. I prefer with this one to very much press down on the surface because it's quite detailed. You want to make sure that you're getting a nice even pressure, and just flip it round and do exactly the same. So make sure it's all the way in. Now I've added some lines here. This is when I'm doing other things. So I've added a line down the centre here to kind of line up the centre, and I've also lined up, put a couple of lines for the channel as well. So that's our layer for the front there. And this piece I've got here, we're going to line this up. Right, we're going to line it up at the top. We're just going to pop that in and putting it in sideways, and I'm just, you see, I'm just lining that up with the top edge there. So it's actually not going in the channel, it's going across. Take that out, flip it, and do the same on the other side. So actually I'm turning it, not flipping it. So you see there, so I'm just making sure, so if you look, you see it's all butted up really well there. Like so. Take that out. Now you can either cut these by hand, but I would recommend with your trimmer. So just line that up, and it's at about 3 centimetres. Sorry, about 2 centimetres, and I'm just lining up the bottom of that with the bottom of the punch with my track, then holding that in place. I'm just cutting down until you'll sort of feel it kind of release where it comes across the cut part. Now I've moved it. There we go. The little bit you can always trim, but it's that long bit which is easier to do on the trimmer. So do the same again, just flip it round. Make sure that tracks in there, like so. Now you'll see on this one I didn't quite get it right, so I'm just going to snip there. Okay, so we've got that piece as well. I'm going to clear the debris. Okay. Now what I'm going to do next is actually do some stamping onto that panel and also onto the back panel. So I'm just going to put a scrap of card in there. I'm going to grab my Petal Pink and I'm going to grab the small stamp and I'm going to use Calypso Coral. So what I found best is to stamp with the detailed stamp first. So I'm stamping the detail in Calypso Coral. And I'm trying to kind of vary the amount that I've kind of got showing in different places to make it a little bit more of a pattern. I'm just going to use, let me just clear the deck slightly, my Petal Pink. And then if you just hover over that detailed image, and I found if I kind of get 3 lined up and then just stamp down. So do the same again, just twist it until you've got that outline over the detail. Turn it around if you need to. And again. Like so. So there's my centre panel. I'm then going to stamp the side of my main panel as well. And this time I'm going to use the same again, but I'm going to use my larger stamp. So I'm going to grab this larger one here, you see, and that's got a coordinating outline as well, and the same on this one. I'm just going to just clean that up quickly with a wipe just to make sure. Right, so we've used 2 colour combinations. I'm going to use them sort of stamped off as well as stamped in detail. So we're going to come Calypso Coral, and with this one I'm just adding that in, and I'm going to stamp over that with Petal Pink. Just make sure your card's kind of centralised to make it easier for you to line up. And then let's have a go with Calypso Coral and Calypso Coral stamped off, maybe. Yeah. Or perhaps, here we go. Might even go for a bit of sweet sorbet actually. Let's try that. I'm just going to try that on a scrap of card just to see how it works first. There's my sweet sorbet. Maybe with some, that's with Petal Pink. And then sweet sorbet, but with Calypso Coral stamped off. I think let's go for Calypso Coral stamped off. Let's go bright and bold. Okay, so there we go. going to put the sweet sorbet to one side so I don't make a mistake. And there we go. Eclipso coral, stamp it off first and then just add over the top. Reminds me kind of, remember those 3D pictures we had back in the 80s where you kind of had to sort of almost blur your eyes to be able to see the image? Kind of reminds me of that kind of effect. I'm not sure why, but there we go. And then while we've got it out, I'm just going to pop that to one side. I'm going to get my piece of card. So this is my one that's slightly higher than it is, slightly taller than it is wide. And this is what I'm going to stamp my sentiment on. So it literally just fits. And I will use a sweet sorbet on this one and make that stand out on the petal pink card. Yep. So make the season sparkle. And then I'm going to come in with my detailed stamp again, and this time I'm going to use tin Calypso coral because I want it to be just a little bit lighter than my original shade. Just give that a quick wipe. And don't forget, photopolymer stamps, as soon as you use them on a red or a purple, they will stain, but it really doesn't affect the the effectiveness of your stamp. You're going to be absolutely fine. People do get worried about it, but there is no need because it works just as well. Right, clear the decks of the stamps before I get myself too inky and of my scrap so you can see what's going on. So this is going to just be glued flat onto my layer, and then we're going to lift that up on dimensionals before we pop it in. So just lining that up on those two little dots, and we'll keep that to one side. That's ready to go, that's ready to go. So what we've got left to do is actually punching the front of our card. So on this one, what you're going to do is you're going to be sliding this in, again as we did before. Now, what you don't want to do is punch too far down. So what I'm doing is I'm just bringing that, you can see my score line just to the edge just to the edge of the punch there. Then turn it over and punch. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. So slide your card in, turn it over to line it up, pop it back down and punch. And that way you're going to get the nice edge at the top. Don't be tempted to kind of fit it all the way, and particularly when you're working on the US cardstock, you need to make sure you are right up at the top of those. So again, trimmer just to finish that off. And so we're going to pop it in. You'll see here, so you're lining this up with the track. So again, it's about 2 centimetres or sort of 3/4 of an inch. But if you line up where the cut is, and you're going to cut from there down to the score line, and just lift it up until you can see where your score line is. Do the same on the other side. This is going to be down at the bottom, so you may not be able to see this quite as well. So I'm just lining that up. Make sure you keep it butted well up to the top of the trimmer there. And again, this is where your snips come in really handy because they're so sharp right to the point. And I'm just going to come on that, just a little bit on that score line to take that out, and do the same just here. If there's any sort of furry bits, just come in with your trimmer. Okay, so now we just need to layer up our card. Now obviously these items are available in the Stampin' Up shop, so if you go to the Stampin' Up shop and then search for me, Heidi Smith, and select me as your demonstrator, or if you use the current host code, which is on my blog, that will automatically shop with me, and I do really appreciate it, because obviously that means I can send you a lovely thank you in the post for being a customer. There we go. And so this is now going to go in here. So we're popping this white piece just in the centre. So I'm just hovering so that I kind of centre it first. Pop it to the top. You can just see there. So I've just centred where those little snowflakes go. And I didn't stamp it. That's what I was going to do. So I was going to stamp on this in the background. So just to show you can still do it, I'm going to just quickly grab my scrap paper and just do that stamping. So I've obviously used this for a darker colour ink. So I just want to use my lighter colour now. So I'm just going to give that a quick clean. There we go. And I'm going to use my other detailed stamp, which is this large one here. And with both of these, I'm just going to use the petal pink, almost to give a watermark effect. So I'm going to come in, and you can see, because I'm actually, there we go, I'm just going to vary that slightly. And whereas I might have stamped all the way across, I'm just making sure I stamp in the corners now, having messed it up. But it just, you know, you can come in, as long as that piece of card is flat, you've still got a good chance of being able to get a good image. There we go. And then all we need is some dimensionals. So I'm going to pop four dimensionals on the back there, just to make sure it's well supported. And I'm keeping those to the centre, because obviously the outer edge of this is going to hang off the side. And so we just want to keep our dimensionals to the middle there. And again, I'm opening out, keep it as flat as possible. When I'm adding layers, I try and keep it flat, like so. Da-da. Right, and I'm just going to line that up. So if you look, I'm just sort of lining that up, so I'm looking at my die cut of my punch of my snowflakes, and I'm looking at those diagonals as well, and just popping that in like so. And then all remains is to add some of our iridescent gems, and these are great because size wise they are perfect to go in the centre of these sort of angled ones, and obviously add as many or as few as you want. There are 3 different sizes in them, so you know you can really go to town on what I'm using. I tend not to use the big ones, so I'm going to try and use up some of the larger ones on this. There we go, just pop one on there as well. And there we have it. Might even stick an extra one on there, yes. Right, again, larger one. Okay, and there you have a pair of fun, non-traditional Christmas cards. But why not? Why not go for pinks if that's what you prefer? These are kind of the orangey tones. Here we've got the lovely blue, sort of tealy sort of tones. Which do you prefer, or do you not like them at all? Let me know. Come back and see me again soon. All being well, I'll be doing a weekly project with this bundle, so come back each week, hit the subscribe button, or like it if you've enjoyed it, and come again soon. Bye now.